Welcome to the Living in Utah live question and answer session, Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I try to make it every week with a new topic, something new. New topic this week, as far as the state of Utah goes, everything seems to be doing great. A couple winter storms coming through. One of them hit today in northern Utah, mostly rain. If you're in higher elevations, like the mountain cities, you will receive some snow. The ski resorts are receiving some great amounts of fresh snow. But down along the valley floor, mostly it is rain. Temperature's a little too warm for the snow level. We'll talk tonight about the fact that Utah has the lowest smoking rate in the country. I guess that's a good statistic to have. The report is produced by the American Lung Association. It's a 2024 report. The percentage of adults who smoke in the state of Utah is 6.7%. Nationally, it is 11.6%. We are approximately, give or take a little bit, half what the national average is. And if you're curious, the state with the highest percentage, 21%, West Virginia. That's 1 in 5 adults smoke. I guess I was surprised about that number. So if I didn't have the report, I would have guessed that Utah was somewhere, on the lower end. Maybe not the bottom, but we are on the bottom. Okay, we also received an A grade for tobacco prevention and control funding in comparison with other states. Last year, Utah spent over $16 million on tobacco control programs. About $1.2 million of that $16 million plus came from the federal government. So the state of Utah is spending a fair amount of money to basically, I think a lot of it's spent on education and TV ads and brochures, etc., to, prevent smoking. And this all goes to what I've said many times. We are what I consider a healthy state, healthy way of living. A lot of the things that are done in the state are towards living a healthy lifestyle. That's the state of Utah. We are not the party capital of the world or the United States. We're not Las Vegas. We're not Miami. It's more outdoor recreation, healthier lifestyle. A lot of conversations will occur in the state about topics relating to health, whether it's somebody going mountain biking or camping or you name it. So this goes along with the whole line of living a little bit of a healthier lifestyle. And I personally feel for myself that living in Utah has kept me healthier than living in some other places, possibly by some of the people who I interact with and hang out with. Like if I lived in Vegas, maybe a lot of my weekends would be spent living, more of an unhealthy lifestyle, maybe, more alcohol, more food consumption, where a lot of times on the weekends, I have many friends go skiing and golfing and ride UTVs. We're enjoying those activities. So I actually just spoke to somebody a few days ago that moved here from Las Vegas. I was getting connected with them again born and raised in Las Vegas, chose Utah, and they love the outdoor recreational scene. They own a Jeep, and they put this tent on the top of the Jeep that drives down the road with them, and they go to some remote places, and they put the roof tent out and camp and enjoy. And my first question was, do you miss Las Vegas? And they're basically, what they said was they enjoy visiting friends and relatives, but they enjoy the lifestyle more here than in this, Las Vegas. So that's my presentation for tonight. Utah has the lowest smoking rate in the country. So I think that's a proud thing to hang your hat on. So hopefully we continue down that road. And it should help our healthcare system in the state also, as I think about things like that. I personally believe that, smoking is a little harder on the body. So hopefully we see our healthcare system with some fewer patients because we have less people smoking in the state. So any questions for this evening before I call it a night? Anybody have any picks? Who is going to win the playoff games this weekend? I was just seeing a TV presentation by Stephen A. Smith, and he is predicting San Francisco win and a Baltimore win, and he is predicting that Baltimore will win the Super Bowl. So that was his prediction. I think it's going to be some great games. It was some great games this last weekend. I was rooting really hard. My team has been knocked out of the playoffs, but I was rooting really hard for the Packers, mostly because the quarterback, Jordan Love, played his career at Utah State University here in Utah. And I had the pleasure of watching all his college football games. Thought he was a great player. So I did have an eye on him. And I also had an eye on Buffalo because Josh Allen played for the Wyoming Cowboys. And I got to see Josh Allen a couple times a year. And another great individual. So Lions and Ravens. So I would say I love the story of the Lions. I root for underdogs, and I love the coach. I think he is a high-class coach. Dan Campbell, I think he's phenomenal. And I love the story. I mean, that franchise has had many losing seasons for many years. So to see a team come from the bottom to the top, it's a remarkable story. So I am rooting for, to see the Lions continue with their success. That is a great story. That would make a great Hollywood movie. Niners all day. Yeah, they'll be playing the Lions. I think the Niners are a very strong team, probably one of the strongest teams left in the playoffs. But what a Cinderella story with the Detroit Lions. So whatever happens with the Lions, it's a total success. Love the playoffs. So do I. Builders going to start offering major incentives. I see more and more quick move-ins popping up. I don't know. I don't know on offering major incentives. I just had a lunch with a top builder in the state of Utah, and they are actually gearing up to. They expected more of a slowdown. I should put it during the winter months, and they are actually looking at ramping up production come spring. So they're seeing positive signs, a lot of interest, and they had anticipated only building X amount of homes. With what they've done over the last 6 months. And his comment to me was, in the spring, we are going to increase production for sure. We are seeing some demand Not demand. I don't want to throw it out there like demand like we had during COVID, but it will be they will increase. So Visionary Homes, no, it wasn't. It was not Visionary Homes I had lunch with. So um, yeah, it was another builder, but um, it market wise are seeing, and I'm seeing that in general. We are seeing more people coming to the market now. I'm actually helping some people. I'm seeing people from the COVID era coming back in the market. And for instance, been showing some homes to some people that I worked with during COVID, but they just could not buy during COVID. They did not have the $25,000 to $50,000 to pay to go above asking price. They could not do it. First time buyers. I mean, there was a lot of sad stories like that. They're not the only ones. So now they're coming back in the market. They've actually saved some money. They actually feel they're in a better position now, although the interest rates are higher. But the home prices are a lot lower than what they were looking at a couple years ago, and they also don't have to pay that $25,000 to $50,000 above. And they plan on using a chunk of money to buy down their interest rate. And the feeling, and I ask a lot of questions, and the feeling that they have is once they have the price, once they have the home, you can't take the price away. If you pay $500,000 for that home, it was $500,000. Well, what they can change in the future, if it happens, they can always lower their rates. And what they're referring to is if that home is $500,000 today and they wait, say, 2 years and it's $600,000, we can't change that. We can't go from 6 to 5. So I'm seeing that happening more and more. And I just talked to a lender today, actually on the phone, and he's seeing the same thing. So interest rates have come down some. We're now in the 6% range. And these individuals plan on buying down. So they're getting closer, and they'll weigh their options as time goes by. And if it does drop further, they'll look at doing a refinance, but they're locking themselves into a home that they didn't have to pay $25,000, $50,000 above asking price, and they're getting it for a little bit less. So we're seeing some of that. So there is a rebound in the market. So Logan growing exponentially. New mall going in. Not too sure about a new mall going in, but yeah, Logan is booming and growing. And I actually have a commercial development going on in Logan, Utah. I don't talk about it a whole lot, but in the Logan area, when companies like Costco, In-N-Out Burger move into Logan, Utah, they do a lot of research. They do a lot of market surveys, et cetera, way beyond what you can imagine. They probably spend millions of dollars on growth numbers, potential business, et cetera. And for them to invest the kind of money they did in a new Costco, or first time Costco, I should say. It's not like they remodeled a store or built a new store when they already had one. There was no location up there. In-N-Out Burger. We have an In-N-Out Burger in Logan before some cities in Texas, or I'm not too sure if a place like, some other cities, maybe Nashville or Atlanta. I'm not too sure if they have an In-N-Out Burger, but we have one now in Logan, Utah. So there is a lot of investment money going into Logan. And the only thing I can assume is because people are seeing those projection numbers that Logan will be a hot spot for people to attract people to, or, et cetera. So, yeah. I think it's a growing area, but all along the Wasatch Front is a growing area. So I can't say that's just the only area, but there's quite a few. It's an odd phenomenon how older homes, same square foot, are roughly the same price as new builds. Why is that? Okay. One of the reasons is most new builds by most builders include no landscaping and no fencing. And typically on a new build, the basements are not finished. So an existing home, sometimes, not always, sometimes you'll walk into an existing home, the basements aren't finished, but um, the basements are finished, the yard work is in, and the fencing is in, whatever they'd want. Maybe an RV pad on the side, park a boat or something like that. And there are many individuals who look at new construction and price in what it's going to cost to finish the basement, finish the yard, and it can be six figures. The last basement quote that I saw was $90,000 that an individual had received off multiple builders to come in and finish their basement on a home. I mean, yards can be expensive. So some people like the fact that when they buy an existing home, everything is done. They move right in, and they typically very little ongoing expense. Maybe they'll paint the place or put some new carpet in or something like that. But with a new build, they want the yard done, and they want a fence, and they want the basement done so people can stay, et cetera, et cetera. And they look at what it costs, and they're like, wow, we're strapped trying to get into the new home, but we need all this done at the same time. So that's a little bit of like the pros and cons. Each has its own value. The other thing is, with some of the new builds, the lots are getting smaller and smaller. So some of the existing homes might be on third of an acre, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a quarter acre. I mean, I've seen new homes on a fifth of an acre. I've seen even smaller, I think, than a fifth. It appeared to be smaller than a fifth. Homes, as they get smaller, if you have families, where do the kids play? If you want to put a shed in the backyard, is there enough room? Is there enough room to park an RV or your boat back there? So Utah, people have a lot of toys. They enjoy their boats, their UTVs, their camper trailers, and they'd like to park those items on the side of their home into their backyard. So sometimes they want a little bit more room. And you find with some of the new builds, they're more narrow. That's the way to put them. Narrow, but then you can like go deep, where some of the existing builds, sometimes it's they're a little bit wider. So you have the room on the side to pour concrete, park a boat on the side of the home, park a camper trailer on the side of the home. My home, for instance, would be highly desirable for anybody with outdoor recreation. I'm on a corner lot, and I have a fence over here on the corner for the backyard. I have an RV pad that would fit a full-size motorhome easily. So I can put 2 car haulers back here with room to spare. So on some new builds, that's very difficult to do. And every area is a little bit different. So most cost effective to finish the basement one shot or to phase in steps. To do it as one shot is typically less expensive. But you also have to come up with that amount of money in one go, as opposed to maybe spreading it out. I have seen some people they'll build like 1/3 of the basement and leave the rest unfinished. And then maybe in a few years, finish another third, and et cetera, et cetera. So I have seen that done. And it depends on what you want in a basement. So the price goes up. So right now I'm in the basement here. Probably the lowest cost basement would be just to have a family room and maybe a bedroom. But in this basement, I have a full kitchen over to the side, living room, laundry facilities down here, bathroom down here, bedrooms down here. It becomes very costly when you start adding kitchens, bathrooms, those items to a basement. as opposed to I've been in some basements that it's just one large family room. Well, there's less framing to be done. There's less sheetrock to be done. So it does lower the cost a little bit. Probably a little less electrical. The more rooms that you have, the more wood it takes, the more electrical boxes you're putting in, and et cetera, et cetera. The more trim pieces you're putting in, the more doors are being installed. Then when you add laundry rooms, you have all the plumbing for laundry, and a bathroom. You've got plumbing for bathroom, which is difficult in a basement because they're concrete floors. And it's rare that you find the shower drain and the toilet drain in the ideal location to build a bathroom. They typically have to be moved. To move those items requires cutting up the concrete, moving them, reconcreting down. So a lot of costs with bathrooms and laundry rooms. Like my laundry room, drain had to be run for the washing machine, vent outside for the dryer, 240-volt electric coming in, water coming in. So those items it's costly. So depends what you want done in a basement. So, and the cost goes up. So great question. It's hard, existing, new build. It's definitely, and what shocks me lately is what landscaping work costs to get grass put in, sprinklers put in, fencing, landscaping. I've seen some, what I feel very, very high bills that it's grass, sod is very expensive. Be shocked to see what sod costs. So always compare the numbers. You can look at something and get an idea what it's going to cost to finish the yard, how you would like to finish the yard, finish the basement, and whatever else, and get an idea, and then go from there. Of course, the bigger the basement, the higher the cost. Basements I've seen in most new builds are already framed out, sectioned with rooms these days. This locks you into a layout. Can you ask to leave wide open? Yeah, it's an option. And sometimes they do one or two. It really depends on, you really have to look at the framing and see if they are load-bearing walls. Typically, what I see, a majority of the walls that are put up are load-bearing walls. They are carrying huge beams to take the weight. Now, you cannot just remove those walls. If you remove them, you have to have it engineered to support the weight that it was holding. So somehow, now I have seen people that will, because most of the it's done with wood, and sometimes people want a more open feel, so they want to be able to take out some of the wall, and in that case they'll bring metal beams in that stretch from one section to another section to hold the weight, and you can eliminate parts of the wall. Once again, that requires some engineering costs and some engineering designs. And most of the time that all has to be submitted to the city for approval. And it's, must meet their approval. So to do items like that, most people typically work with what they have, especially if they're load-bearing walls. It's far cheaper to just build around or add to it to make a bedroom or something along those lines, and not take those walls down. Well, they can't be totally taken down. They have to be put up with something. Typically it's a metal beam, and that's very costly. So you're welcome anytime. I'm going to call it an evening. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and I will be back again next week. Thank you.